What's up, people? I am back for another video. This was a video I was supposed to do last week, but I kind of wanted to give this some thought. But I am doing my updated ranking of Halloween, the Halloween franchise, including Ends, and pretty much, Ends is pretty much gonna be the last. I'll get to that. I'm gonna do this one different though. I normally do it like bottom to the top, but I'm gonna just do top to bottom. Figure just change it up a little bit. I guess before I get started, um, this week what I got planned is tomorrow I'm doing Alligator 2 Mutation. On Tuesday I'm doing the first Leprechaun since we did the Leprechaun in the Hood movies, so I figured let's just go back and do the original. Wednesday I'm doing Ginger, not Ginger. I'm doing that Friday. Wednesday, I'm doing Trick or Treat, which is a great horror anthology film. Very underrated. I haven't watched that one in a little bit, like maybe 4 years. I think it's been 3 or 4 years. But we'll be doing that. Figured I was maybe gonna save it for Halloween, but I'll do it a little bit before Halloween. But I was trying to do it at least like the last week of October. So yeah, I'll do it then. I'm doing that on Wednesday, and then Thursday, the final Phantasm film. So like with those, I'm going in blind, but I've enjoyed what I've seen so far. So I hope Ravager kind of ends it on a good note. And then Friday, I'm gonna review a werewolf movie I have not seen in a long time called Ginger Snaps, and I know I knew there was a second one, but apparently there's 3 of them. So I'm gonna do all 3. They're probably not going to all be on Friday. I'll just happen to do the first one this Friday. I might some days do them on a different day, but they will be done. But we'll see. But I'm definitely doing all 3. But so yeah, I'll be doing the first Ginger Snaps, and I remember really enjoying it. From what I remember, enjoying it. So, but yeah, the Halloween franchise. This is a franchise I discovered. I guess I would say 2011, back in 2011 now, so about over 10 years ago now. And I admit, I was more of a casual coming in, and it was partially because of Scream, because that how big that movie was. I mean, even within Scream, they played it in it, so that was how I found Halloween, and I just eventually just got into it and started enjoying the franchise, and more became got into the lore and stuff, and the character of Michael Myers is great. I mean, to me, he's my favorite horror character, and probably one of my favorite horror villains. Not just horror villains in general, in anything. Just the character, and then Dr. Loomis, everything around it. The whole story of Halloween even being made, the original, where the music is what made the movie. But I also think it's just in general a good movie. But that music and just everything about it, and just all around. Yeah, Halloween is not a perfect franchise. Like, there are some bad entries, and we'll get to those, but the character of Michael Myers, minus an Ends, because he's barely in it. He's a cameo in that one, but even in some of the bad ones, maintain that mysticism about him that, yeah, this dude's still bad, like a badass, even in some of the bad, not in the good sequels. So, but yeah, let me get started here. So, but yeah. So my number 1 is technically 2, and I know I explained this last year, but I'll go into it again. Halloween 1 and 2 to me are one movie. I think Halloween 78 is definitely, so if I had to do it this way, it'd be 1A is Halloween 1978, and then 1B is Halloween 80. It's Halloween 2. But to me, they are one movie. They go into each other so perfectly. But I guess I'll start with Halloween 78. There's only so much you could say. Just iconic horror film. To me, it's the definitive horror film. I don't care what, like. There's other, I think there's other answers, but for me, it's the definitive, and just the directing and the atmosphere, Dr. Loomis's performance, that iconic speech, which to me that personifies the character of Michael Myers, is the blackest eyes, the darkest, that whole the way he delivered it. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis, even for her, like, one of her, like, I think this is one of her first role, I thought she did a pretty good job. And then the ending, one of the greatest endings ever. Just Michael's gone, music hits. Yeah, you can't top that for me. But Halloween 2, 1B, just I really think it took that original story. To me, it is the definitive follow up. I like 2018. 2018 is like high up on my list, but I I do think this one is just the true follow up, because the way Mike, after getting shot, just continuing on into the night, and I still think it had that atmosphere building in it. Like, I really thought, like, the hospital was a creepy setting. Just some of those shots where you just see Michael walking on camera, or and all that. The theme is interesting. It has like this synth aspect about it. And I'll admit, when I first watched Halloween 2, I didn't really like it. I was like, okay, this sounds weird. But then I've grown to like it, and I still think it maintains that, like I mentioned, the atmosphere from the first film. And I thought Dick Warlock really did a good job at playing Michael, in the sense of, he's not Nick Castle, but he felt like kind of he acted like what Michael was like after getting shot a bunch of times. He's way more robotic in it, which I actually kind of think works, because it's creepy. Like the scene where the kid runs into him and Michael's just going to the hospital, you have the theme playing. It's just, I thought that worked. Myers in this film is creepy. So, and then the chase between Laurie and Michael, I should have also mentioned that in the original. Both chases are great. And just going to the first one, back to the first one really quick. That chase scene in the original is just so good. The music, to me, that is probably my favorite horror film chase ever. It's between that one. It probably is that one. Yeah, just, it's so good. The music, Jamie's doing a really good job of, like, showing, like, how freaked out she's like banging on neighbors' doors and stuff. And I thought they carried that over very well in Halloween 2. And in this aspect, I think it's more, she's more isolated, because all the nurses and doctors are pretty much dead now by this point. Michael has, like, all these bodies strewn up. You have the red lighting when he's chasing her in, like, the basement. And she's trying to make it to the elevator, and Michael's just slowly walking to her. And then even before, like, when the chase started, and Michael just kills this nurse, and he, like, lifts her with a scalpel, it's like, holy shit, that's how to start a chase. Like, and then the ending, which is great. I think Halloween 2, if you don't like the sequels, I really do think Halloween 2 could work as a straight up ending if you just tie those two movies together for the Michael Myers story. He dies in the fire, him and Loomis die in the fire. The iconic shot where Michael's, like, got shot in the eye and he got blood dripping down and he's just slicing everywhere. It's great. So I just think all around Halloween 2 is it's probably one of my favorite horror sequels. Maybe my favorite horror sequel, actually. Number 3. No, 2. 2. Yeah, number 2 is Halloween 4. It was Halloween Kills. I did that last year. Halloween Kills is, like, number 3 now. But Halloween 4 is just a better film. Halloween 4, while, the only real negative, but I don't think it ruins the movie, is the mask is not that good. Especially because the cover is, like, the Shatner mask, and then in the movie it doesn't look good. It looks good in some shots, but I think I can get over that. Because I think this is the start of the George, I'm trying to think of his name, he played Michael in this movie. He also played Michael in Six for a little bit. I think his name is George P. Wilbur. I could be wrong, but I thought he did a pretty good job in this as Myers. I love the opening where it's like this fall atmosphere. You still got the orange lettering. Yeah, you don't have like the theme playing, but you have like they're showing you this like the Haddonfield like farmland almost like just scarecrow. It gives you it kind of you feel like you're in Halloween, and then going from that to like the doctors picking up Michael comatose body, and I thought it was a solid continuation from two. I thought Danielle Harris did a really good job as Jamie Lloyd in this one. Her and Rachel, just that connection they had, it's just so good. Um, and all around, I think the atmosphere, Michael in general, how smart he was. Like he killed all the police. He also then took on like the power. Like he really took over that town in that film. You know, there were some kills where I like them, but I can understand some people are like, okay, they're trying to be too much like Friday the 13th. But for me, I understand this was 1988, so you're I think Friday Part 7 was out, and then you're on the like fourth Nightmare film. It's like those films dominated the slasher genre for a while because pretty much the old Freddy and Jason were the big two. Because Halloween was kind of comatose after. Really, Michael Myers was comatose after 2, and then you had Halloween 3, which is a spinoff, which I am including in this list this time. But yeah, but all around, Halloween 4, I think did a really good job at continuing the story and that ending. If I'm definitely gonna eventually do a list of best Halloween endings. I already know number one's not gonna be changed, but this was probably like number 2. Jamie Lloyd in the clown costume, Dr. Loomis freaking out, the music playing. Yeah, Dr. Loomis is like, no, no, and like the way he's saying no, and then he almost like pretty much shoots her nearly. It took the cop like to calm him down. That was just such a good scene. And then I think the music was pretty good too. Like, you know, they went back to the more traditional sounding Halloween theme, but it still, you know, had like an 80s sound to it, but it maintained like that classic sound. So all around, I think Halloween 4 is a great follow up. And in my view, it's my trilogy. 1, 2, and 4 to me are like the trilogy for me in the main Halloween continuity. I do like the other films, but my main Halloween continuity is 1, 2, and 4. I just think they go right into each other perfectly. So that's my number 2. My number 3 is Halloween Kills. You know, yeah, there are some problems with it, and I still definitely have a fucking "They Said Evil Dies Tonight" way too many times. That scene with the patient, it's like the scene with Sartain in 2018. It's like just a wrench being thrown in a pretty good movie. Why did you do that scene? But take those scenes out. I really like the atmosphere of it in the sense of the Michael was like a fucking a threat. You feel when they need the you know pure and simply evil. I feel like this film really solidifies that. Michael in this film is a monster, and not just because of how supernatural he killed, just the way you feel his presence throughout. I think James Jude Courtney really solidified he's my favorite live Myers, or he's my favorite Michael Myers. Nick Castle's great, but Michael was they made Michael such a force in this movie, and I think that does make up for it. And it's not just the violence I like. I thought the score was really good. They actually managed to fix Allison, because I didn't really like Allison in 2018, but they managed to fix her character. I liked that they kind of held Laurie back. I like how like the town rallied. Yeah, they fucked it up with the patient scene. That was stupid. But I think before that riot scene, I really like the idea of the town kind of rallying together. And I love the ending. And the ending where that they hated they changed, but Michael kills Karen, and then and that's the other one. They managed to fix Karen as a character. I didn't like her either. So this film, I think, took characters I didn't necessarily like in the previous one and fixed them. And then, yeah, I really like the ending when Michael kills Karen, and then because Laurie's calling Karen, and then Michael picks up, very reminiscent of like the original, and you just hear the breathing. And I don't know why they changed it in the theatrical, but whatever. But to me, that is a great ending. So I really think Halloween Kills overall. That's why it maintains. I think there's more good than bad in it. So my number 4 is Halloween 6, and I know this is an unpopular one, but it's a theatrical cut. Because the theatrical cut cuts a lot of that weird cult shit down. The cult shit's still there. And this is one I actually did not like when I first watched it because of the whole cult thing. But then I watched it more and more because the theatrical is the one they often would play on TV the most. And I just grown to like it. I really love the setting. I love that opening. The music is interesting. I'll admit, the guitar... I'll admit the producer's cut does that better, where they tweak the music more to... It's like the original. It's more of like just a regular score. It doesn't have like the guitar in it. I don't mind the guitar in it, but I can understand why some people don't like it. But they brought George P. Wilbur back. I thought he did great again. The mask in it is like probably my favorite non Shatner mask. I liked what they did with Tommy. I thought Paul Rudd did a good job. I get why some people didn't like it. They felt like he was overly weird. But I felt like they were trying to go for like this one encounter with Michael Myers. I mean, they even kind of did it in Halloween 5 with Dr. Loomis. That Michael Myers, his evil and his craziness almost will make you go crazy. And just Tommy's one encounter, and that's what happened with him. And I think that's what they were trying to go for. But I understand that some people didn't like it. I thought Kara was a decent lead. Mike, there was just so many good shots too, like just Michael in the rain. And even the kid who played Danny did a decent job. Like, I just think overall, there's more good than bad in Halloween 6 for me. So that's my number 6. 4. My number 5 is 2018. I think this is a really good way to bring a franchise back. It didn't rely on member berry. There were some scenes it did. There were some scenes where they did do a little, I guess I'll go a few criticisms. Not the biggest fan of the ending. I think doing the whole fire thing again was dumb. I think because Halloween 2 did it better. I didn't think you needed to do the fire thing. Should have killed Laurie. There was such an opening where you could have killed her in a good send-off way. And you probably would have been better off for it and have a better setup for the next 2 movies. But minus the criticisms, I really think 2018 was a solid return. I thought the opening was great. The iconic, I look at it as iconic at this point. One shot where Michael just kills a couple people in a house, just in a couple of houses. Like, some really good shots. I thought James Jude Courtney did a good job. Jamie Lee Curtis did a solid return. I think overall it was just a decent return to form. I'll admit I'm not the biggest fan of them cutting the sister thing, mainly because the way that some of the trilogy plays, I think you should have just kept it if you're gonna have them be that attached. But also, I just don't think they should have ever erased Halloween 2. I think Halloween 2 is just too good to just erase. But anyway, that's a side point. But that's my top 5. Now going down, we're in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1. I know this is another one that's not a popular one, but I look at it personally as a one-off because Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 just doesn't exist. If you just I look at it as a one-off. The reason I justify it is, I look at it as what if they try to do a more realistic Halloween? The redneck stuff was over the top. I can't defend that. It's that opening scene where you got I'm gonna skull fuck the shit out of you. And that was within like 3 to 5 minutes in the movie. And you're already getting lines like that. And if you're gonna watch this, I say watch the theatrical. Don't watch the unrated, because that's where you have that very unnecessary rape scene, which I do not. I still don't get why that's in there. That was just so. The theatrical cut has a way better breakout scene for Michael, and it even transitions better because after he kills like these guards, and then it transitions to that's when Danny Glover comes and finds all the carnage. I think that's just a better transition than the way they did in the it's just unnecessary, and it's just Rob being edgy. Like, if you're gonna, for me, a rape scene in a movie, almost, you need to justify it. You know, justify in a couple ways. Like, oh, this is the world they're in. Like, that's fine, but they didn't do that in this. This was just done to be edgy. Yeah, anyway, but the good it does is I really like the idea of Michael in Smith's Grove. I think that's like probably my favorite thing of the whole movie. I thought the scene where he did kill, his sister and then the stepdad, I thought that was I like how visceral the violence was. And I understand some people feel like Tyler Mane was way too big, but the way I look at it is, if they're going to do a realistic Michael Myers, some of the kills Michael does, he would have to be big. And I look at that as the opposite of, he's not supernatural in this. That's why for me, I can look at it as a one-off. He gets shot in the face in the end, and he's dead. And that's it. But yeah, that's my number 6. I think it's a decent, like, one-off project, if, in my view. It's not the best, but I can watch it. Number 7 is Halloween 3. I really like Halloween 3. I think it's, it's unfortunate that just it got called Halloween. We got attached to Michael Myers in 2 films, and it tried doing its own thing. But I think it's a decent, like, 80s horror movie. Tom Atkins. I like the Silver Shamrock thing was interesting. I like that they even had, like, references to the original Halloween. They were playing the original Halloween. You still have that epic Carpenter score. There were some decent kills, and those robots were basically like a bunch of Michael Myers, for being honest. So I think all around, it's just a great one. I do detach it from the franchise, but I still can watch it. So that's my number 7. Number 8, now we're basically getting to the bad ones now. Halloween 5. Halloween 5 is one of those that's like, it's a case of, they made this one way too soon, because this was like a year after the first Halloween, after Halloween 4. They didn't know where to take it after, and I just think there was like, you had such a good follow-up, ending, and then you just followed up with that. I don't hate it like others. To me, it's not the worst one. I'll watch Halloween 5 over the next couple I'm gonna name here. But, like, I think I guess I'll go more into the positives really quick. Don Shanks, I thought, did a pretty good job as Michael. He was imposing at a good height. There's some decent kills. I like the idea of Loomis going crazy. It works for his character. How long he's been trying to hunt Michael Myers, yeah, I could see that driving you crazy. And it didn't felt hammed up. It still works. I bought it. Donald Pleasance still played the fuck out of the character, I thought. So, Halloween. Oh, another thing. I should have mentioned this with Halloween Kills. Just a side point. I just thought of this. I should have mentioned, like, the flashback scene was great. And the way they were able to do, I don't think it was a deep fake. I think they got an actor that just looked really like Donald Pleasance. With that opening scene, so I just thought of that really quick. But back to Halloween 5. The problem with 5 was they went with this weird, let's make Jamie Lloyd mute. I don't know why they did that. It was, and it's not like because they didn't even commit to it because she was only mute for like maybe 40 minutes to an hour of the movie, and then she's not mute anymore. And I think they should have just explored her maybe being having a little crazy tendencies, but they didn't want to do that. They just reverted her back to being the victim, which is fine. But and then the way they kill off Rachel is inexcusable. Because what made Halloween 4, and I should have said this way more in the Halloween 4 section, is Rachel and Jamie's chemistry was so good. You know, Rachel going from like, yeah, she was just her like kind of foster sister to she genuinely was trying to protect Jamie with her life in Halloween 4. And then in this one, you kill her off, but you don't even show it. Like she gets stabbed in the shoulder with scissors and then you cut and then you show her body later. It's like if you're gonna kill her, I'm not necessarily against her dying. You should have killed her where Tina died. Like Tina stepped in front of Jamie in front of Jamie and took the stabbing from Michael. That should have been Rachel. That would have actually been a good spot to kill her off. And it would have been right in front of Jamie, and it would have been a way better emotional send-off than how they did it. The goofy cops, every scene they show up, you have like this fucking clown music playing. I don't know what they were going for with that. It was just such a weird movie. The Man in Black setup that went nowhere. That Halloween 6 had to like kind of fix it. But all around, I don't think. And then the ending, it makes no sense. Where the last film, they shot the shit out of him into a grave and then threw fucking dynamite. Like they try to murder Mike. Well, not murder, but like kill him. And in this one, they throw a net on him. They trank him and then throw a net on him and then throw him in a cell. What? That was weird. Like it's such a weird follow up. But like I could watch it like between like after Halloween 4, I could put 5 on and just kind of have it in the background. I think it's not the worst 80s slasher, I guess, in that sense. But yeah, it's not one of the, and the mask is absolutely awful. It looks like someone like has sat on it. I don't know. At least you don't see his eyes. But yeah, it looks like just someone has just sat on it. Number 9 is Halloween. Halloween H2O. So now we're getting basically to the bottom here. I do not like Halloween H2O. This is an unpopular one, unpopular opinion, because a lot of people love this movie. A lot of people, I've said every time when I mention this. This movie is like a lot of people's tops. I just don't like it. To me, it felt like, especially the more I've watched it, the more I've got. I didn't mind it when I first watched it, because I wasn't as into the franchise, but I felt like the more I got into it, the switch from Halloween 6 to this is almost like Batman Returns. Granted, I'm not saying Halloween 6 is as good as Batman Returns, but Halloween 6 going from Batman Returns to Batman Forever. This one is just too clean. It feels like this is a Halloween film for the Scream generation. This felt like it was trying to copy the Scream generation. That's not what Halloween's supposed to be a trendsetter, not follow a trend. And that's what this one felt like it was doing. There's even straight up music from Scream in it. Like, straight up, like, there's a song that you hear in the Scream soundtrack. Like, it's... I don't understand why... I get why some people like it, the ending. That final act is pretty good. I agree. But the rest of it is... And I like the opening. The stuff with the masks, like, because there's, like, multiple masks, and it's sad, because the mask they actually used in the beginning is, like, a altered version of the mask from 6. I don't know why they just didn't keep that one. That one's actually good. That would have somewhat saved the movie, because the mask that mainly used, you saw his fucking eyes and his eyelids. It looks bad. I don't want to see Michael's eyes. Like, yeah, in Halloween 2, you kind of can see his eyes sometimes, but it's not too bad. And in most angles, you still don't see it. Like, you gotta, like, it's really only up close, that one up close shot. But, and this one is supposed to follow Halloween 1 and 2, and it just doesn't have that atmosphere at all. It just plays like an MTV film. Um, the final chase is good, but none of the characters stand out. Josh Hartnett as Laurie's son just doesn't do it for me, and it's sad because he's a good actor. I mean, that same year he did The Faculty, and just this, he just does nothing. The other characters just feel like characters you could easily see in like Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I like those movies, but Halloween should not be those movies. Like '98, that same year, you had like Bride of Chucky and then Phantasm 4, where both of those movies maintained their tone from the other ones. They just happened to come out in the '90s. This felt like this was just trying to copy a trend, and I just it's disappointing because I think this could have been a great film. But and then the music, if you're supposed to be like, because this one is the one that started the whole getting rid of the 4 through 6 and got started the whole multiple timeline thing. It's supposed to only follow 1 and 2. One of the best things about 1 and 2, besides the atmosphere, is the score. And the score in this is just all around bad. Not just the fact that they use straight up use Scream music, which that Scream music's fine for Scream. You're just reusing music in a different movie. But even the Halloween theme, like the main like Michael Myers theme in it, it just isn't good. It's this like organ, like orchestra. I don't know what they were going for with it. It just was weird. The ending is fine, but everything else I don't like. So I can, whatever you think of the next one, I'm gonna name after this one. At least, oh, I didn't even go in. Michael was Chris Duran. I think is the actor who played him. He did not do a good job. Michael just wasn't a force of nature in this movie